The Autistic Culture Podcast Network, the sound of autistic culture. ATPN.
Disordered eating messaging is all around us. You can hardly leave your house or check your phone without seeing something about dieting, weight loss, or exercise. With all that pressure, it can be hard to recognize habits have become harmful or even an eating disorder. If you're concerned you or a loved one might have an eating disorder, I want to introduce you to Equip. Equip is a fully virtual, evidence-based eating disorder treatment program that helps patients achieve lasting recovery at home. Every Equip patient is matched with a multidisciplinary care team that includes a therapist, dietitian, medical provider, and mentors, and you get a personalized treatment plan that's tailored to your unique goals and challenges. Equip treats patients of all ages and all eating disorder diagnoses. It's covered by insurance, and there's no wait list. If you think that you or a loved one could be struggling with an eating disorder, don't wait to get help. Visit equip.health to learn more. That's equip.health.
This is Ben Green from the Athletic FC podcast, and today I want to talk to you about Boost Mobile. In football, sometimes a player just needs a change of scenery to reach their full potential. And think about your phone the same way. Head into a Boost Mobile store and their team will clean up your device, check your battery health, and get you set up on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan for just $25 a month forever. No contracts, no price increases. Just a fresh start for your phone and your wallet. Visit Boost Mobile, unlock your phone. $25 forever requires customers to remain active on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan.
Fuel your hustle with protein-packed, flavor-stacked Roller Bites. These compact handheld snacks deliver bold taste and real protein, so you can stay full, focused, and moving. No mess, no slowdown. Big flavor, clean fuel, and the kind of bite that just works. From long days to late nights, Roller Bites are ready when you need them in flavors like Tequila Lime, Monterey Jack, and Buffalo Ranch. Grab them in your nearest convenience store or catch them on tour. Visit rollerbites.com for dates, locations, and more.
Welcome back to Mindful Mondays. I'm your host, Ashley Dupuy, and this is your weekly space to slow down, soften the edges, and meet your inner world with curiosity and care. Right here on the Neurodivergent Experience podcast. So whether you're neurodivergent, highly sensitive, living with chronic illness, or simply fascinated by what it really means to live with presence in a human body, you are so welcome here. And today we're continuing the From Mask to Map series, and we're also continuing the thread we began last week when we explored the neurodivergent nuance of Mel Robbins' Let Them theory. And today, I want to widen that lens. Because what we were really talking about last week was not just one theory. We were also talking about advice culture as a whole. You know, those short, punchy, memorable phrases that move through social media and self-help books and podcasts and therapy and gyms, workplaces, schools, families, and even friendships. Things like, do the hard thing. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. No pain, no gain. Follow your passion. Live a life of service. Try your hardest. No excuses. And discipline beats motivation. And, you know, the interesting thing is, I use quite a lot of these phrases myself and quite regularly. I talk about doing the hard things and about growth and about getting comfortable with discomfort. I talk about resilience and service and meaning and building capacity. So this is not an episode about throwing advice culture in the bin. Far from it. This is an episode about nuance. That neurodivergent nuance I've been talking about these last few episodes. Because most advice does carry a seed of truth. And when that truth lands in the right context, at the right time, in the right nervous system, it can be absolutely liberating. But when advice is stripped of context and turned into a slogan and absorbed by a nervous system already trained to override itself, it can become very slippery. It can become confusing. And it can become another way to abandon the body while believing you are becoming stronger. And this is why the neurodivergent nuance matters. Because advice doesn't land in every nervous system the same way. A phrase that helps one person move through ordinary resistance may teach another person to push through collapse. Or a phrase that helps one person build courage may teach another person to ignore a genuine warning signal. Or a phrase that helps one person stretch their comfort zone may teach another person to tolerate environments, relationships, or workloads that are actually harming them. So the central question for today's episode is this: is this healthy resistance, or is this a warning signal? And that, to me, is the question. Because resistance can absolutely be meaningful. There are times when the mind says, "Oh, I don't want to," because something new or brave or vulnerable or unfamiliar is asking us to grow. And then there are times when the body says, "I can't," because it is exhausted or overloaded, injured, burned out, frightened, or trying to protect us. And if we confuse those two things, we can get ourselves into real trouble. So let's begin with a metaphor that I often use, and one that I still love: the story of the lobster. And I've mentioned this metaphor before on the podcast. So a lobster has a hard outer shell and a soft, delicate body inside. And unlike our skin, that shell doesn't expand as the lobster grows. So as the lobster grows, the shell begins to feel tight and restrictive, uncomfortable. And eventually, the discomfort becomes the signal that it is time to molt. So the lobster finds a place of protection and sheds the old shell and grows a new one. And this happens again and again throughout its life. And it's a beautiful metaphor because it reminds us that discomfort is often part of growth. Stress and pressure and challenge and difficulty can all be signals that an old structure is becoming too small for who we are becoming. And I still believe that. I think modern life often trains us to expect comfort and convenience and ease and immediate relief from discomfort. We can order things to our door. We can avoid awkward conversations. We can scroll away from boredom. We can arrange more and more of life around our preferences. So yes, there is wisdom in remembering that discomfort can be a doorway. But here is the neurodivergent nuance. The lobster doesn't shed its shell in the middle of the road while predators are circling. It goes somewhere protected. It withdraws. It creates the conditions for safe vulnerability. And that part really does matter. Because sometimes when people hear a metaphor like this, they hear, "When life is hard, keep pushing." And perhaps the wiser message is, when growth is happening, protection matters. Sometimes the hard thing is not pushing through. Sometimes the hard thing is stopping. Sometimes the hard thing is advocating for yourself or being kind to yourself. Sometimes the hard thing is no longer overfunctioning. Sometimes it's having the honest conversation at home or at work. Sometimes it's choosing rest when we feel we haven't yet earned it. And sometimes the hard thing is letting the old shell fall away while giving the soft inner body what it actually needs. This is why context changes everything. All right, let's look at another phrase that I love to use. Start learning how to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So I say this all the time, and I believe this. It can be incredibly helpful and incredibly empowering. If you are avoiding connection because you feel a little bit anxious, then gently moving towards people may be growth. Or if you've always wanted to go to a pottery class but feel uncomfortable going by yourself, that might be a beautiful edge to explore. Or if you want to start speaking up more or taking up more space, trying something creative, start exercising or joining a group, then yes, there may be a period of healthy discomfort. That kind of discomfort can build courage. But getting comfortable being uncomfortable does not mean getting used to being treated poorly. It does not mean tolerating chronic overwhelm or staying in unsafe dynamics. And it certainly doesn't mean teaching your nervous system that its signals are inconvenient. Healthy discomfort still contains choice and autonomy. You feel in charge of the decision. You can pause and slow down and adjust and return to safety. The body may feel activated, but there is still a sense of agency. This is very different from enduring something because you feel trapped or ashamed or pressured or afraid to disappoint people. And that is the nuance. And another phrase I've had a very long and complicated relationship with is, no pain, no gain. As a child, I found this phrase very confusing because I associated the word gain with gaining weight. And I understood that that phrase was meant to sound motivational in terms of exercise. But the language itself felt really strange to me. And of course, later I understood that the word gains was really referring to strength and muscle and improvement. But even then, the phrase remained complicated because if you are fit and healthy and experienced and well-supported and aware of your body's limits, then no pain, no gain may simply mean challenge creates adaptation. The last few reps might be uncomfortable. Progress can require effort, and strength is built through load. But that is a very specific context. For many people, especially those new to exercise, or neurodivergent people with interoceptive differences, or people with chronic illness, hypermobility, PTSD, or chronic pain, or a long habit of overriding themselves, that phrase can become genuinely harmful because pain can be a warning. Pain can be information. Pain can be the body saying, this angle is wrong, or this load is too much, or this tissue is irritated, this joint is unstable, this system needs a different approach. So again, the question becomes, is this healthy resistance, or is this a warning signal? Is this the discomfort of healthy effort? Or is this the body giving me useful information to prevent injury? And this is where I think aware, allow, align becomes so helpful. Aware. What is actually happening here? Allow. Can I recognize the reality of what I'm feeling without shame? Align. What next action honors my body and values and safety? Because when advice lands as a command, neurodivergent people may follow it with terrifying sincerity. Or how about this one? Try your hardest. That was one we explored back in episode 32 on taking things literally. As a child, during a swimming test, I heard, try your hardest, and went full force from the beginning. I gave everything immediately instead of pacing myself. I didn't understand that try your hardest often means give your best, sustainable effort. And that distinction really matters. Which leads me to another beautiful school of thought. There is something called the 85% rule, which suggests that holding back a little can sometimes improve performance because the pressure reduces and the body relaxes and the system functions more efficiently. You're more likely to go into that lovely flow state. A study was done on high-performance athletes, and they found that they were more likely to beat their own personal best when they were coached to go at 85% rather than at 100%. And I love that because it challenges this idea that maximum effort is always the best effort. Sometimes 85% is wiser than 100%. Sometimes sustainable effort gets you further than heroic effort. And sometimes easing the pressure, allows excellence to emerge. And this links beautifully with a little bite-sized Buddhism. Something that is known in Buddhism as the right effort. Right effort is not maximum effort. It is wise effort. Energy applied with discernment. Enough effort to cultivate what is wholesome and release what is harmful, while staying connected to awareness. And that feels like such an important teaching in a culture obsessed with intensity. Because hustle doesn't have to mean burnout. Hustle can simply mean pick up the pace where the pace is asking to be picked up. And if your whole life is already a sprint, the medicine may not be more hustle. The medicine may be rhythm, pacing, recovery, simplicity, a return to what truly matters. And I learned this in a very personal way about 10 years ago, when my health was beginning to deteriorate. I was working full-time in a very stressful job that was completely wrong for me. I also had a side business making terrariums and floral arrangements. And I also had a weekly radio show that I produced myself, curating themed playlists. And the show itself ran from 10 at night until 1 in the morning on a Friday after a full week at work. And I loved parts of it. I love music. I love creativity. I loved making beautiful things. I loved the idea of service. And at that time, I kept reading that living a life of service and doing what you love were healing and meaningful and transformational things. And they can be. But I was already exhausted. I was already struggling with insomnia. My body was already sending me loads of warning signs. And then when a friend opened up a community center and needed volunteers, I thought perhaps this was the answer. And I began helping as much as I could, with weekly flower arrangements and fundraising events, picking things up, organizing, creating, producing, giving. And in the language of advice culture, I was doing everything right. I was following my passion, living in service, doing meaningful work, and using my gifts. But in the reality of my nervous system, I was creating a perfect storm. I was dancing as fast as I could and calling it purpose. And this is how subtle this can be. Sometimes the advice is beautiful, but sometimes the context is wrong. Sometimes the very thing that heals one season can harm another. So this is not about rejecting advice. It's about learning how to metabolize it. How to ask, what context does this advice assume? And is that my context? What nervous system is this advice speaking to? Is that my nervous system today? What is the neurodivergent nuance here? And that brings us to this week's microdosing meaning. The next time a piece of advice lands in your system with pressure, just pause before obeying it and ask, is this healthy resistance, or is this a warning signal? Is this advice inviting me towards growth or away from myself? Do I feel choice here? Do I feel dignity here? Does this align with my body, my values, my needs, and my future? And then use aware, allow, align. Aware. Name what is happening. Allow. Recognize the reality inside and outside you. Align. Choose the next honest step. Because advice becomes wisdom only when it is placed in relationship with reality. And this really is the heart of From Mask to Map. The mask obeys the slogan outright. The map reads the terrain for safe traveling. The mask says, I should be able to do this. The map asks, what is happening here? What is the totality of the situation? The mask pushes harder. The map listens deeper. And as we keep building this work, this is the kind of exploration I'm going to continue developing through the podcast, my insight timer practices, and the larger body of work that is becoming from mask to map. So you can find lots of meditations and yoga nidras and nervous system practices, bedtime alchemy stories on my Insight Timer channel. Just search for Ashley Dupuy. That's Dupuy. And if this work is speaking to something in you, I am currently taking expressions of interest for my September group coaching cohort, where we'll be exploring nervous system literacy, self-trust, masking, and the practical tools for moving from mask to map. If you're interested, please send me an email to integrativeiom@gmail.com. And next week, we're going to continue this thread by looking at procrastination and laziness, willpower, discipline, and why so many people are carrying shame for what may actually be a skills gap or a nervous system state, an access issue, or even a missing condition for success. Because most people want to do well. And if they're not, something is getting in the way. So before we move into today's guided practice, may you begin to meet advice with curiosity. May you listen to your resistance with wisdom. May you honor your signals with care. And may you remember that the strongest life is rarely built by forcing yourself harder. It is built by learning how to read the map. And for today's guided practice, we're going to explore a form of imaginal breathing inspired by the beautiful work of Yoga Nidra teacher Ali Boothroyd. Ali uses imagination in such an elegant way, inviting awareness to travel with the breath through different pathways in the body, awakening sensation and presence, and a deeper experience of inner connection. And I'll be drawing on several of those techniques today, while weaving them into the themes we've been exploring in this episode. Because when we ask whether something is resistance or signal, the answer rarely comes from a slogan. It comes through relationship with the body and sensation and emotion. Relationship with the subtle inner language that becomes easier to hear when we slow down enough to listen. And imaginal breathing gives us a gentle way to strengthen that relationship. The physical breath continues in its own natural rhythm, while the imagination creates pathways for awareness to travel through the body. And as you practice, you may notice sensations, warmth, tingling, spaciousness, colors, light, movement, or simply just a quiet sense of presence. Every experience belongs. So if you are currently driving or operating heavy machinery, please ensure to pause the recording now until you can safely come back into stillness. So just go ahead and find a position that feels supportive for you today. That may be lying down, or you could be seated. Just ensuring your body feels comfortably held. And whenever you're ready, you can feel free to gently close your eyes and feel the support beneath you, the weight of the body settling, the surface beneath you receiving the weight. And begin by sensing the natural movement of your breath. The breath arriving and the breath leaving. An easy inhalation and an easy exhalation. The body breathing in its own way. There is nothing to organize, nothing to force. Simply the living rhythm of breath moving through you. Good, that's right. And feel the whole body resting here. Breathing, listening, present. And can you bring your awareness to the center of the forehead? The space that is sometimes called the mind's eye. And imagine that the next breath enters gently through this point at the center of the forehead. As you inhale, imagine the breath traveling inward toward the quiet center of the head, the center of the brain, a still inner chamber of awareness. And as you exhale, imagine the breath flowing softly outward again through the center of the forehead. Breathing in through the forehead toward the center of the mind. Breathing out through the forehead, returning into the space around you. And just continue in your own rhythm. The physical breath remaining soft and natural. The imaginal breath traveling inward and outward. And perhaps you sense coolness as the breath enters, and perhaps warmth as it leaves. And perhaps the center of the forehead feels spacious, luminous, or gently awake. Just allow imagination to lead awareness. And now, on the next inhalation, imagine the breath entering through the center of the forehead and traveling upward toward the crown of the head. From the forehead to the crown. And with the exhalation, imagine awareness flowing from the crown down through the center of the body into the heart space. Inhaling from forehead to crown, and exhaling from crown to heart. A gentle arc of awareness, rising with the inhale and descending into the heart with the exhale. Forehead to crown, and crown to heart. Each inhalation awakening clarity. Each exhalation settling into presence. As though the mind and heart are connected by a soft inner current. And now allow that pathway to dissolve. And let the breath return to its natural movement. And awareness again, feeling the whole body resting. The whole body breathing. And begin to bring your attention toward the right side of the body. The right foot and leg. The right hip. The right side of the torso. The right shoulder, arm, and hand. And imagine that you can breathe into the whole right side at once. Perhaps the breath enters through the sole of the right foot and through the palm of the right hand, traveling inward to fill the right side of the body. With each inhale, the whole right side becoming quietly alive, and exhaling out through the palm of the right hand and through the sole of the right foot. Good, that's right. And now let your awareness travel across to the left side of the body, the left foot and leg and hip, the left side of the torso, shoulder, arm, and left hand. And now imagine the breath entering through the sole of the left foot and through the palm of the left hand, flowing into the whole left side. Each inhalation filling the left side with sensation and presence. And each exhalation out through the left palm of the hand and left sole of the foot. And perhaps the left side begins to glow with a soft light. Breathing into the left side. Feeling the left side. Allowing awareness to inhabit the whole left side of the body. And now sensing both sides together, the right side and left side, two sides of one living body. Imagine the breath distributed evenly through both sides. The whole body gently illuminated from within. Balanced by awareness. Held by breath. And now bringing your attention to both hands. Sensing the right hand and sensing the left hand. Both hands simultaneously. And feel the palms. And imagine that the next inhalation enters through the center of the right palm, breathing up through the right arm and into your heart center. And as you exhale, imagine the breath moving from the heart down through the left arm and out through the left palm. Inhaling again through the left palm, up the left arm and into the heart. And exhaling down the right arm and out through the right palm, continuing now at your own pace and speed. Breathing in through one palm, receiving the breath into the heart, and then flowing out through the opposite palm, and changing sides with every breath. And imagine now that the whole body is held within a gentle cocoon of presence. Breath moving within you. Awareness resting around you. The presence that is already here. It's in the breath and the body. And it's in the space between one thought and the next. And from within this cocoon, can you become curious about your own inner map? The subtle signals of the body, the places that awaken, the places asking for movement, and the places asking for rest. You are strengthening the relationship through which discernment grows. The capacity to sense what supports you. The capacity to recognize what asks for care. The capacity to feel the difference between a growing edge and a protective boundary. And perhaps you may gently inwardly repeat, I know my own map more deeply with every breath. I listen to the wisdom of my body. And just take a few quiet moments here, resting in the medicine of presence itself. And can you now bring yourself back to the sounds of the room, the temperature of the air, the space around your body? Gently move your fingers and toes. Or perhaps turn your head slowly from side to side. And when you feel ready, and not a moment before, you can feel free to gently open your eyes, returning with a little more connection to your inner world, a little more trust in your capacity to recognize what each moment is asking of you. Thank you so much for joining me this week. And thank you again to Ali Boothroyd, whose beautiful imaginal breathing inspired the techniques we explored in today's practice. And you can find more of my own longer meditations and yoga nidras and nervous system practices over on Insight Timer. And if this from mask to map work is resonating with you, I am currently taking expressions of interest for my group coaching cohort beginning in September. You can email me at integrativeiom@gmail.com. And next week, we'll be exploring procrastination and laziness, discipline and willpower, and looking beneath those labels to understand what may actually be getting in the way. Until then, may you listen closely to your own inner language. May you meet your body with curiosity. And may each breath bring you more deeply into relationship with the map that has been living inside you all along. And as always, remember, we're all just walking each other home.
Marketers, you know that feeling when your creative clicks? When that social post sends engagement through the roof? When your outside-of-the-box campaign hits ROI positive? When a personalized homepage turns prospects into customers? It's utter marketing bliss. Contentful helps you create tailored omni-channel experiences without working overtime. No stress, no limits, only possibilities. Get the feels at contentful.com.
This is Ben Green from the Athletic FC podcast, and today I want to talk to you about Boost Mobile. In football, sometimes a player just needs a change of scenery to reach their full potential. And think about your phone the same way. Head into a Boost Mobile store and their team will clean up your device, check your battery health, and get you set up on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan for just $25 a month forever. No contracts, no price increases. Just a fresh start for your phone and your wallet. Visit Boost Mobile, unlock your phone. $25 forever requires customers to remain active on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan.
That's the sound of drumsticks, setting the tempo for change. In the 60s, Stax Records in Memphis defied segregation with multicultural bands like Booker T and the MGs, proving soul music could move more than feet. This is one of many sounds in Tennessee with a story to tell. To hear them in person, plan your trip at tnvacation.com. Tennessee sounds perfect.
Thanks for listening. Support autistic-led media through Autistic Culture Plus and enjoy bonus content, early episodes, and ad-free listening. Visit autisticculture.supercast.com to learn more.